Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share with you how I used my Cricut to create this shadow box for an upcoming wedding. So anyway, let me show you how it's made. We're going to start by finding an image that we want to use. I use Microsoft Bing, and we're going to search for an image called, and I'm going to search for wedding silhouette. You can use free wedding silhouette if you want, but you can just look. I found this one that I liked, Mr. and Mrs., and it says that it's free to use, free to download, so let's choose that one. Now we're going to save that to my computer just by doing Save Image As. And I'm going to go ahead and save it into my Downloads folder so that I can use it into Design Space. Well, let's go to our Downloads folder. So let's open up our Downloads folder and find our image. There it is. Now let's go over to Cricut Design Space. And we're going to start a new project. And we're going to upload that image. As you can see, I already uploaded it once, but we'll do it again just to show you how to do it. So we're going to drag and drop that image out of our Downloads folder right into Design Space. It's a simple black and white image, so just choose Simple and Continue. And it auto erased the background for me, which is perfect. You can preview the cut file just by using the preview button up at the top. Looks perfect, so let's keep going. I want a cut image, not a print then cut image. So choose Cut Image. And there it is. Now we're going to add that to our canvas. So select it, Add to Canvas. Let's make it a little bit smaller so we can work because that's a little bit too big. Now, to create the frames for the shadow box, I usually create a shape, so a rectangle, the size of the inside of the shadow box with just a 1/4 inch frame. Now you do that by just selecting a rectangle, making it 4 by 6 because that's the inside measurements of my 5 by 7 frame. Then I create a second rectangle, and I'm going to make that one just about 1/2 inch smaller than the 4 by 6, so 3.5 by 5.5. Then we select the two of those, and we're going to align center to make sure that they're aligned perfectly. You can do it by eye, but it's a lot easier to just use the align function. Then we're going to slice. And what we want is not the rectangles that we sliced out, but the rectangular frame that's a 1/4 inch all the way around, because that's going to be the frame that we're going to mount each of our layered images of our shadow box to. So we want to duplicate that because we're going to have multiple layers. We can get rid of the inside pieces that we don't want anymore. So now we have our 2 frames, one for each layer, and we'll create a third one here in a minute for our 3rd layer, but we'll start with those 2. And then we're going to put our Mr. and Mrs. Image right inside the frame, and you just size it so that it fits nicely in the frame and at whatever position. But you want to make sure that it's connected in enough places that it's not going to be wobbly when it cuts. So you want it connected at the bottom, you want it connected to the sides, and so that's also the other reason why I use the 1/4 inch frame, because it gives me multiple connection points, whereas if you just used like a piece across the bottom or something, it would only give you the one connection point. So you just keep sizing it and positioning it until you get it where you want it. And then once you get it where you want it, you select the image and the frame, and you're going to unite them. So it's combine, unite, and then that keeps them together. Now you could weld them, but I usually use unite in case you decide you want to do it, to undo it and change it as you're putting together the other layers. Now that one layer is going to fit on top of the other, so you can see when you do that there's kind of a big open space at the top left. So we're going to find something to fill that open space. And what I decided to use was a heart. So if I create a heart that's 2 3/4 inches across, I found that to be just about the right size. And it'll fit right up in that top left corner. And then when you layer your first layer on top, it just fills up that open space. So I thought that was perfect. But I didn't want just a solid heart. I wanted to put something in the heart. So I created a second heart that's just a little bit smaller, about 2 inches. And then I did exactly the same method. So center, align, center, and then slice. Get rid of those middles because you don't need those. And you just want essentially the heart frame, and you're going to attach it right up into that corner. But now I just have an empty heart, and I wanted to put something in the heart. So I decided to use the couple's initials because I already have Mr. and Mrs. at the bottom, so you can't do that. I could have used wedding rings or I guess a rose or some other hearts, but I decided on initials. So I used the text function, added each of their initials as individual text pieces because I want to be able to move them around and shape them. So I used the So Fontsy font to create the initials, and then I decided it needed something in the middle, so I put a little small heart to join them together, and then again used the combine unite function to combine the heart, the letters, the small heart, and the frame all together. And then when you layer those two layers, it looks nice because it kind of fills up that top left corner with a nice design. But I wanted a third layer in the back to help with the design so that it had a nice background layer. And what I found was I was thinking roses would be pretty. So I was searching for roses, and I found a free thing called Rose Invitation. And I loved the panel of it. And when you look at it, you'll probably think, how on earth is that going to work? But I'll show you. So let's add that to the canvas, my Rose Invitation, and it's free in Design Space. So I'll add it to the canvas. And then we're going to remove the layer the inside layer that I don't want because I'm not going to use that. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then I'm going to create one more rectangle that's 4 by 6 because that's the size of my background layer. Then I'm going to put the Rose Invitation over the top of my 4 by 6 background layer, and I'm just going to resize that Rose Invitation panel, and I want the sort of the left end. You could use the center panel, but I actually kind of liked the left side of it, or one of the sides, better than the center panel because it had kind of more rose heads in the space, and I just kept making it bigger until it sort of filled up that 4 by 6 panel. And you can just size it and resize it and position it until you get what you want. Then you're going to select the 4 by 6 square panel and the Rose Invitation and slice them. Then you can get rid of that piece. You don't need that. Separate all the layers and get rid of the pieces you don't want. And I only need one of those, so let's go ahead and get rid of one of them. Now I need to put a 4 by 6 frame around this one, just like I've done with all of the other layers. So we're going to select one of the 4x6 frames that I already created, and we're going to duplicate it to create our third background layer. Now once we have that 4x6 frame, we're going to take that one and our rose panel slice that we just took out. We're going to select those two. We're going to align center so that they're 100% lined up. And then we're going to unite those, just like we did with the other layers. And that gives us our 3 layers. Now you can put them together on the on Design Space so that you can see them, and you'll be able to see exactly what they're going to look like once you cut them and put them in the Shadowbox. So let's stack them all up and see if we like the look. And I left them in 3 different colors, one because I'm going to cut them in 3 different colored cardstock, but it also helps when you're looking at them to be able to decide if you like that or not. And I do. So before I do anything, let's go ahead and save it just in case, because I don't want to lose any of my work. And now that it's all saved, we're just going to make it. And as I said, you can see since I had 3 different colors, it's on 3 different mats. If you wanted to make them all the same color, or if you wanted to put 3 pieces of different colors of paper on the same mat, you could combine them all. But I left them on 3 different mats because I think it's easier for me. And I am going to do them in 3 different colors of paper. I'm going to do the background layer in a light pink, the middle layer in a matte silver, and the front layer in a pearl white card. I think that'll look nice, and we'll go from there. Now I'll be back with you as soon as I am done cutting them. Okay, so I've got all of those cut on my Cricut. As you can see, I cut my background layer in a pink pearl card, and then I cut my middle layer in a silver matte mirror card. And then I cut my top layer in a white pearl card. And then I've got a 5x7 frame, which you can watch my previous video on how I create frames in any size. This particular one is 1/2 inch across and 3/4 inch deep, so that makes the inside 4x6. Now I'm going to just layer these all together. I'm going to start with just a piece of pink mirror card on the back because I like the looks of that when I stack it up. And I just cut a piece that was 4x6. You don't actually need much glue because it just barely fits right in there. Now you can put it in before you glue your black frame on if you want, but it fits right tightly in there, so it's fine. Okay, now we're going to start with our pink layer, the very back layer. And I'm going to raise these up. So I've got some foam tape. This is just a 1/4 inch wide. And I'm just going to go around the frame on the outside. And that's why I leave that 1/4 inch on each side. The 1/4 inch frame that I mounted, that I united each of the layers into. This is why I do it, so that I have plenty of room for my foam tape. And it should fit tightly, but right inside. And it does. It just gives you that little bit of lift. Now we're going to put our middle layer with our heart and our initials. And we're going to do the same thing. And then we're just going to lay that right in on top of the pink roses. And it's quite sticky, so there's that. And then we're going to put this layer on. And I'm going to use these strips because they're a little bit thinner than that, but I'm going to put multiple layers of them because they're not as thick. And then we just layer that in. On top, just like that. And I'll tell you what, I just forgot one thing that I'm going to have to go back and fix. So I double layered here and I double layered under here, but there's nothing from this layer under there, so I'm missing the whole layer. So I really needed about 4 layers under there, so I'm going to sneak one in. There, just to hold that up. And for that piece, I'm just going to put some 3D glue gel underneath there so that it doesn't sink down. I should have put another layer of foam tape on there, but I didn't. So we can just kind of tap that, and then that'll hold it once it dries. So don't push it down too hard. And there we go. We're all done. I love the way that came out. And that's how you can make your very own shadow box. Here's a different one that I made. Very similar. Used exactly the same method, except with this one, I put some patterned paper in the back, and I just did 2 layers. So this is 1 layer, and then this is a separate layer, a second layer. And then I put some rolled flowers in the front. And that's it. And it's a 6x6. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. It's just amazingly easy to make your own shadow boxes. You don't have to go buy designs off Etsy or be limited to something you can purchase or download already done as an SVG. You can create your own fairly simply right in Design Shop or at Design Space. So anyway, hope you like that.